We're often told we shouldn't compare ourselves to other people. But I don't think that this is really, I don't think it's that simple. I think a much better way to frame how we look at people who have traits or who have achieved things that we might want for ourselves shouldn't necessarily be that we just don't compare ourselves to other people. I mean, otherwise, how would we have goals? How would we have heroes and people who we aspire to be like? I think instead of just a flat out don't compare yourself to other people, you may try to look at it more as don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. In other words, don't compare where you're at on the beginning of your journey to a certain goal with where somebody else is at on their journey, because they could be well ahead of you. For instance, let's say you're in the grocery store checkout line and you see some really attractive person on the cover of a magazine, and you might think, oh man, dang, like why don't I look like that, or I wish I looked like that, I'd be happier if I looked like that, or other negative thoughts like that. You might beat yourself up and just think negatively of it. And I don't, that's not healthy. We all know, we've all heard, oh, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. But instead, maybe what we should do is we should perhaps find out who that person is and try to learn how they got to where they are. You might find that person has always looked like that, and you might learn that they don't really have to try that hard at all. In which case, you shouldn't compare yourself to them because you're not in that same situation. You didn't grow up with their childhood, you didn't have all the same experiences that they had, so you shouldn't expect to look how they do or have what they have with the same amount of effort. Now, on the contrary, you might find out that person is on the cover of the magazine because there's some regular Joe who lost a lot of weight or built a lot of muscle, and they're being featured because they want to share how they did it. Now, in that case, you wouldn't necessarily want to compare yourself to them, but you should certainly try to look at what they did to get their results and then see how you might incorporate their actions and their behaviors and the steps they took into your own life. So you would focus on the chapters in between your chapter 1 and their chapter 20. You'd look at how you might get the same results or similar results. And that's another thing. That the notion that two people can do the exact same thing and get the exact same results isn't really that reasonable. Just with the individuality that we all have in terms of our genetics and our jobs and our own personal stressors and how we respond to those, our individual responsibilities, our obligations, our time commitments, we shouldn't expect to be able to copy someone else's actions and get the exact same results as them. And this applies to fitness or business or family life, relationships. You just can't expect to do the same thing as somebody else and get the same results. You have to understand that we're all in our own situations, and we're gonna have to figure things out that work for us individually. Now, that being said, we should always still look to others for inspiration and look to others for direction. We just shouldn't compare where we're at this point in time with where somebody else is at this point in time. Because where they're headed might not be where you want to be headed. And where they came from and how they got to where they are, maybe they had to do things that you're not willing to do. So my advice is to be grateful for your situation. Constantly look to others and try to take from them what you can, and apply what you take from them to reach your goals. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.